Hey everybody, welcome to episode 14 of Let's Play Kerbal Space Program. We are better than ever, or beta than ever, resumed, saved, 0.90. Just grabbing a sip of water there. So, in between games, I did take a look around the Kerbal Space Center to see what kind of things we might be capable of. We know we're having a hard time collecting some new science, and we're having a hard time with funds. Space plane isn't quite working out for me just yet as far as getting these visual surveys done. But I checked in mission control, and based on how those satellite placement missions from before almost went, I think we have a really good shot. If not, you know, I'm highly confident that we can actually pull off a Mun-shot. We might not be able to land, but that's okay. We wouldn't need to land right away. We'll be getting money along the way as we complete some of these goals and some. From space. See, this is recover from the surface, but we'll be able to get some goals and stuff completed from the from around the moon anyway. Get a cash advance, probably get a couple of missions completed. This mission never expires, so I never need to worry about actually failing it. And what I think I'm going to do is grab this mission. I can have a maximum of 7 missions now. This is a radio decoupler in flight. No, I don't want to do that right now. I am going to LV-909 while landed. It's not worth it. It's not worth it right now. That's the only contract I am going to grab, actually. Now, with this cash adventure, I now have 203,000 credits. Or credits. I'm speaking in Elite Dangerous terms. 203,000 funds. I'm going to use a fair chunk of that to actually upgrade my tracking station, which will give me both patched conics in the orbital view, as well as synergize with my already existing upgraded mission control to give my tracking station the upgrade for flight planning. So this should actually give us the full capability of planning orbital, orbital maneuvers and stuff like that. Now we have to go ahead and build a rocket. I might separate this build out into a separate feature, like an extra feature, Let's Build or something like that. But we'll see. So, you know. Okay, we're back. Here's the contracts we got going on. We got a crew report, flight above, whatever. We'll try to get that maybe on recovery. I'm not overly worried about it. Even if I fail it, it's only like 6,000 funds or whatever that I'm losing. I didn't actually take a look at how much this rocket, this thing costed. So maybe I'll have to put the number up here on a annotation or something. God, my brain's not working. But we have ourselves here a rocket that should be more than moon capable, especially now that we have these huge solid rocket boosters. I've gone ahead and set the thrust limiter to 50%, and we'll see if that works for us. This is our mission right here. Achieve orbit around the moon, transfer recover a science from around the moon, and land on the moon. And of course, we're bringing the scientific experiments that we have in order to see if we can't get a whole bunch of science to maybe unlock some more useful and more capable parts. I'm going to go ahead and quick save right here. And, yeah, that's essentially it. Triple check my staging. Okay. We now have, capabilities for patched conics and, mission planning. So we can actually use make maneuver nodes now to do all of our stuff, and we're going to use those to go ahead and set ourselves up with a rendezvous on the moon. I think I've blabbered on long enough, so we're going to go in 3, 2, 1, hit it. And we're sitting here. 50% thrust isn't enough. Be right back. Revert flight to vehicle assembly. Okay, would have thought these things were more powerful than they were, but they weren't, so I set their thrust limiter to 75% for attempt number 2, and here we go in 3, 2, 1, hit it. Really? So these SRBs by themselves are just not that powerful. That's interesting. Revert to the vehicle assembly. Here we go for the third try in 3, 2, 1, kaboom! That is more like it. We're not going to be generating any electrical charge, but we have tons of it. And it seems like we have enough control authority right now to keep ourselves stable. We're heading up about as fast as I like. Maybe we could be going and picking up a little bit more speed a little faster, but you know, getting going too fast, too quickly ends up wasting fuel against drag in the atmosphere. So there's always that balancing. How much you're going to waste against drag in the atmosphere and how much you're going to waste against just how much time you spend fighting the force of gravity. But we are actually picking up a pretty good clip here. 3,000 meters, 130 meters per second. One of these solid rocket boosters is going to go. I think at this point I'm going to go ahead and kick on the main engine at full when that happens to help keep us going, because yeah, we're actually we might not need the main engine. I'll try it at 50. There we go. This is just about right. I like it. So I got a comment that people say I can begin my gravity turn at about 10,000 meters, and while that's true, I tend to do it a little bit later for craft that have lower thrust to weight ratios. So I'm going to go ahead and start my gravity turn at 12,000. And just get myself tipped over to the orbit marker by 15,000, hopefully. Nope, I'm running late, actually. I should have started that. So the comment's right. Get rid of those. I should start my gravity turn at 10,000 so I can get to my orbit marker by 15,000. But this craft is way up here and has so much fuel left. So I'm going to watch my apoapsis climbing up. When orbital velocity gets to about 1,000 meters per second, that's when I'm really going to start paying attention to the map, because that's when our apoapsis is going to be looking good. Yeah. Keep flipping back and forth here just to keep track of this. So we are on our way on a launch that will hopefully reach the moon off of this. I like it. I like how my angle of attack is working out on this. So I'm just going to flip over the map and fly from here now as we get ourselves to orbital, or at least suborbital velocity. 75,000 meters. And now we coast. We still have some juice in the goose here for orbital insertion, or I should say orbit circularization, which we will go ahead and do. All right, 73 by 77. I want to wheel this in a little bit like so. Just get these adjusted as much as possible. There we go. 75 by 75. We need to hit this node. It is time to burn almost immediately. Right now. So our piloting skill is not to the point where I can tell him to follow the maneuver node, but it is to the point where I can tell him to face a direction, and I can manually make adjustments from there. So we are at full throttle, getting ourselves our orbital insertion burn, 33 seconds. I don't think we have 33 seconds of fuel in this tank left. We might. 120 divided by 5 is what, 6? Or 60? So I have about 60 seconds of fuel in here. Oh, no. My math is really bad. I can't do math on the fly! But that's okay. That's what staging is for. And this thing's going to get way lighter. Ready? We did it. We're in orbit. I was thinking of staging and wasn't realizing that we were going to make it, so we made it. Here. We'll go ahead and burn off the rest of this fuel. See you later, booster stage. We're moonbound. That's so freaking cool. Okay, so what's awesome is that this ship is all about getting to the moon, potentially landing, and getting back. And so now here's the thing, since I know I can reach Moon, see, we're going to the Moon because of money. I know that we can reach Moon, which means I know that we have enough delta V to reach Minimus, and we might actually have an easier time landing on Minimus than landing on the Moon. So if we get the Minimus contract, we might complete that next, in the next episode. But we're at the ascending node right now. I want to face south, yes. I'm just going to go ahead and get this node fixed, since we're at the ascending node already. Bingo, just like that. Okay, now the only thing that's left to do... God, this mission is rolling so easily. Probably partly because of all my experience from before. So this is our first time really being able to use a maneuver node to do any of our work. I tend to, for Moon, I put a maneuver node basically when Moon hits over the horizon as a basis. And then we set off to add plenty of delta V to look for a Moon encounter. In fact, I can show you a little trick. If we move this over here to where it's not going to be a Moon encounter, what we want to do is have just enough delta V to where our orbit is going to touch the orbital, sort of, orbital whatever of the Moon. And then we can just wheel this to where our encounter is going to be as long as possible. Like so. Something like that. So I have this nice long Moon encounter, and if we use that, we could have plenty of delta V and we could add a little bit more juice to end up pushing us out to Minimus, but we don't really need to do that. All we need to do is get ourselves pointed at the maneuver node. Let's see how our resources are looking. We haven't used hardly any energy at all. We can turn SAS off and let ourselves just coast a little bit. I know we have EVAs and stuff available. We'll get a crew report. Is this worth anything? No. Well, observe mystery goo. I'm not sure if this is worth anything either. It is not, so research that, reset that experiment. We're probably not getting anything new out of this until we leave, get into high orbit around Kerbal. And even then... Okay. Let's get ourselves to stop moving here. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward time. I'll catch you... Bonk, I just hit the microphone. I will catch you guys in after Time Warp when we're ready to do our Mooner insertion. Okay, we're 2 minutes away from our maneuver node in the dark side of Kerbal. Can't see much from here. We'll do it from the map. We're about 2 minutes away from our maneuver node. I had mistakenly identified this as Mooner insertion. That's the next burn that'll be happening. Right now we're doing Mooner injection. This is the injection burn where we actually add the delta V to our velocity to get ourselves set up with a standard home and transfer orbit into the Moon's sphere of influence. So we'll go ahead and just fast forward time a little bit. I am going to start my burn at about 45 seconds. So that we can split the difference between this estimated burn time. Coming up on 45. So right now we'll go ahead and get the engines warmed up and get going on the way. I want SAS on. Alright. Jeb, you're in control. Here we go. We are now burning fuel. Now we can do some math. So with just over 1 unit of fuel per second, it looks like in here we have about 150 seconds. Maybe I might round that down to 2 minutes. So we have 2 minutes worth of maneuvering time. We know that this particular burn is going to take, another 30 seconds. So we're going to have about 100 seconds worth of burn time left when we're done. And that might be enough to land on the Moon. I think it's going to be worth a shot. I'll quick save. I know that you hardcore players out there think quick saving and reverting is cheaty. But I don't want to lose all this money that's sitting on the table, basically. 4, 3, 2, 1, engine cutoff. How'd we do? We still got some more to go. I'm going to go ahead and set myself prograde rather than following the maneuver node. And just add a smidge of velocity until we see this encounter look a little better. About like that. That's good enough for me. Go ahead and kill that. We have. I'm gonna pull out the calculator. Astronaut. You know what? This cell phone, in case you're wondering, for you historians out there or kids want to learn about the Apollo program, this cell phone has thousands of times the computing capacity of the computers that were on board the ships that we used to actually land on the moon. Anyway, 99.98 divided by 1.17, because I burn 1.17 units of liquid fuel per second. That gives me a burn time of 85 seconds available fuel. So that will be no problem for the moon. At this point, we're just going to let Kepler's laws of planetary motion and Newton's laws of inertia take over, and we're going to coast out to the moon before we need to worry about doing anything else. So I'll catch you guys on the other side of time warp. Hang tight. Okay, our ship is about 10 minutes away from lunar encounter, so we're in orbit high above Kerbal. Right now we can actually grab some more science and keep all this information. We'll go ahead and have Jeb get him an EVA going. In space high over Kerbal, and we'll get one mystery goo observation done out here. Recover it for 15 more science. Keep that data. The goo feels right at home here. Interesting. That is interesting. But as you see on the map, we are about 10 minutes away from an encounter, maybe 9.5 minutes away. We'll go ahead and fast forward that on the camera until we get there, and then we'll plan a lunar encounter. An actual lunar encounter that's going to be awesome. Okay, so here's our encounter around the moon. As you can see, it's actually pretty good. Right now, I always cover this material again and again and again, but I don't mind doing it because it's really fun learning this stuff. Right now, I'm going to keep myself slowed down. The best way, a lot of people do different things when they're trying to maximize the efficiency of each of their maneuvers, right? And our goal, so you kind of think about what's the next goal in line and have that mapped out for the overall picture. The overall picture is to get in orbit around the moon, and if possible, if we have enough fuel left, land, right? But we're going to be keeping an eye on how much fuel we actually use. We have just under 100 tons, I guess, of fuel. Maybe it's 100 kilograms. I don't know. We have just under 100 units of liquid fuel, and we want to be judicious about how we use that. One way to lower the periapsis, as we all know, is to burn retrograde and slow our orbit down. Well, that's not as efficient as we actually can be. If you kind of look at this, we would be burning, if we burn retrograde, essentially what we do is we point our rocket this way and burn a lot of fuel. Well, intuitively, that doesn't seem like it's all that efficient because we're thrusting this direction. It doesn't have as much to, this vector of thrust does not have as much of a relationship with the periapsis or the moon as we might like. So what I'm going to do instead, and I can actually show you what happens here using the maneuver nodes. If we burn this way and get we can burn this way, get our periapsis down to, say, a reasonable height of, say, 25,000 meters for 149 meters per second of delta V. Now, what happens if we try something different? Einstein was the one that really kind of set us on this path that a free-falling object follows a straight line through curved space. Because the gravity of the moon is sort of bending space, this is actually a straight line through a bent space geometry. What that can actually mean is, if we were actually going in a straight line, for instance, if we thought about this first third as a straight line, if we burn retrograde, all we're doing is shortening and lengthening the size of that line. We don't necessarily want to do that just yet. What we want to do is we want to change the vector of that line. And to do so, you burn perpendicular. So how much delta V would it take to take the same periapsis that we had before if we went this way? Look, it takes much less delta V. So we can get this down to 25,000 meters for 50 delta V. That's actually pretty impressive. And because we're deepest in the gravity well here, there's something called the Oberth effect, which we can take advantage of to then thrust retrograde and circularize the orbit, like so. Something like that. I'll actually plan this maneuver in a while, but I'm not going to wait for this maneuver. So when you're traveling a line, the easiest way, say this is where we are, and this is our destination. We want to change where this destination is. The further you are away from your destination, the less thrust it takes to affect it. So we're not going to wait for this maneuver that I just planned. I was just using this for illustration. We are going to go ahead and face it. Which, whoa. Let's turn SAS on. We're going to go ahead and face this maneuver node, which, incidentally, is the same direction as this radial in, or radial node. Get rid of that, and I'm just going to watch this manually. So we'll go ahead and pop on the engines on low thrust, and get our periapsis down to, say, 25,000, not quite 25,000 meters. Well, I guess it's 24,000 meters. Okay, we have 95 units of fuel remaining. Let's go ahead and zoom over to the moon here and set ourselves up a Mooner orbital insertion maneuver. Whoa, too much delta V. I want 25,000 meters on this periapsis. Or, yeah, as close to 25 as we can get. About like that. In fact, hang on. Well, no, we're gonna want to get into orbit, and then we'll figure out what we're doing when we get there. Okay, so it looks like this burn is going to take us 18 seconds, which, based on our prediction here, is probably going to run us about 20 units of fuel, leaving us with 75 or so. And that's for orbital insertion. We had 100. We're now going to be down to about 75. So if we can land on the moon by using less than 25 meters, 25 units of fuel, then we know we can make a landing. That's going to be the tough part. Okay, I'm just getting myself faced where I want to face. Our maneuver is still a ways away. There's the moon. It looks like we'll be actually burning on the light side, so I'm going to catch you guys there. We'll time warp forward and see how it goes, so hang tight. Okay, and we're back. Here we are gliding over the surface of the moon. We're about a minute away from our Mooner insertion. And while we're here, I'm going to observe a mystery goo. We'll keep that data. We're going to do a crew report. Oh, I need transmission gear for this to work. We're going to overwrite this crew report. I think it's more important for us to get this science. I'm going to observe the materials bay now. That's 75 science. We are coming up on burn time pretty quickly. One thing I'm going to be able to do once I get myself into orbit is actually do a bunch of EVAs around the moon just to gather all the science and information from that kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and throttle up to half throttle. Get ourselves inserted into orbit, and we'll see how our actuals as far as fuel usage is looking when we get done. I'm expecting this to fall down to about 75. So, almost there. Good enough. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. It turns out there was too much content to squeeze into a single video no matter how hard I tried. So I'm splitting this episode in two. Tune in next time and watch the conclusion. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.